Let me tell you something about a new battery that I'm super excited about. 2 years ago, Rebelcell launched a small starter battery which was powerful enough to fire up outboards up to 250 horsepower, but the capacity of that battery was relatively small. So Rebelcell decided to develop a battery that could do both. It could power big engines, but it could also power your sonars and all your electronic equipment on board. This is the 12V80 Pro. Has no display on top, which improves the waterproofness, but also it has a Bluetooth app. And with that Bluetooth app you can check a variety of things. You can check the current capacity, the outgoing and the incoming voltage. You can see if the battery is charging or discharging. You can even see the life cycle of the battery. And one big benefit is also that if the battery is stowed away, in most big fishing boats that is the case, it's somewhere in a hatch you don't want to open up and see how much capacity you got left. You can just open the app and check the capacity of this battery, but also from other Rebelcell batteries that you might connect to the app. Now obviously current Rebelcell batteries are not equipped with a Bluetooth protocol, but future batteries will be. So if you have multiple Pro batteries like this one, you can check them in the app and see in one screen the capacity of multiple batteries. This battery suits the need of a lot of anglers out on the water. The guys that troll a lot will really benefit from this battery because your battery is constantly charged. The alternator of your outboard will pump up juice into the battery, and that juice is being used to power your screens. A bit similar like big old lead acid batteries, only the difference is this one only weighs roughly 9 kilograms, while with a normal lead acid battery you would weigh like 25-30 kilograms, and that's super heavy. And also the efficiency of those batteries is way lower. So if you don't use the battery, it still keeps its capacity way better than a normal lead acid battery would do. So for trolling guys, a battery like this is perfect because it just keeps your battery charged. You don't need to worry about the charging of the battery that you would normally use for your sounders or your other electronic equipment. And also for the guys that fish a lot pelagic, fishing with live scopes or new Humminbird Mega Live, this battery is perfect because you're running your boat the entire time on your outboard, but you still need to power a lot of screens that consume a lot of energy. And because the alternator from your outboard keeps pumping juice into the battery that's being used to power your screens, you don't need to worry about not having enough power to last you throughout the night. We used a 12V80 Pro during our trolling trip in the Dalsland Canal. We trolled for 9 days and we only used a 12V80 Pro, and we used a 24V100 to power our trolling engine. We didn't have to recharge our batteries throughout the entire trip, and that was because my Suzuki outboard, the alternator of that outboard, kept the 12V80 Pro recharged. Meanwhile, we plugged in all kinds of devices like GoPros, our phones and other cameras or other accessories to keep them charged throughout the entire trip. On the 12V80 Pro, we also had a range extender connected, and that range extender kept our 24V100 charged throughout these 9 days of fishing. And we did casting, we did trolling, we did everything. But we could fish completely autonomous. We could fish completely autonomously. The only thing we needed was actually gasoline to keep our petrol engine running. The Rebelcell 12V80 Pro can be used to power outboards up to 300 horsepower. And it's also perfectly suited to power screens like Humminbirds, because with the 12V80 Pro it's LiFo 4, so you don't need a stabilizer. It's compatible with all screens out on the market. You can use it for your trolling engine. Most of the time people will use it to both power their sonars and also power their outboard engine at the same time. So it gives you simplicity. You go from 2 batteries to 1 battery. You don't need to worry about recharging it. Now, while the 12V80 Pro is an excellent battery for guys that are trolling or fishing pelagically, for the people that cast all day long and don't use their petrol engine that much and also use really big screens, the 80 amps might be a little on the low side. What you can do is fire up your engine once the voltage is too low. One thing I would highly recommend if you do a lot of casting and use the 80 Pro in combination with that as your only battery to power your sonars, is set a voltage alarm, and set that voltage alarm around 12 volts. If you use If you use small screens or use your petrol engine a lot to go from spot to spot, 80 amps should be fine in most cases.
Rebelcell did extensive testing with the first model of the Start and the 12V80 Pro. They monitored the output of the alternator in different situations compared to a normal lead-acid battery, while also checking the alternator with a thermal camera. The results were exactly the same as traditional lead-acid batteries. The alternator adjusts its output when the battery is full, just like it does with a normal lead-acid battery. If anything, using a lithium battery with a good battery management system, also known as BMS, is much safer than having a lead-acid battery without a BMS. We switched from our daylight fishing towards a couple of hours of pelagic fishing in the dark. To wrap up our experience with the 12V80 Pro, it is a great battery for anyone who still uses a heavy lead-acid battery to power their screens and also start their engine. Also, for anglers that fish pelagic or trolling, this makes your life so much easier. On top of that, the Bluetooth app is a great new feature. If you run a big boat with lots of electronics, it is best to seek professional advice on what battery setup suits your needs based on your style of fishing and equipment. Obviously, 12V80 Pro can be combined with other Rebelcell batteries. If you got any questions, you can hit me up on social media. I am more than happy to help you guys out.